All right. So, yeah, just reviewing again the tickets, and I was talking about the success criteria of every ticket, as we have mentioned. The sprint goal will always have the objective, and then each ticket will always have, let's say, success criteria. What is it that is done for it to be regarded as task successfully completed, right? So I just mentioned if you had like this implement and configure the state machine. So once you have screenshots that shows that it's been done, you could also have like a comment coming from it could be your manager, project owner, or anyone above you supervising the task that could put in comments. So that looks good. And Emmanuel has already completed this as well. This is on track. Will just be additional this thing. Um, Steffi here. I think everyone is getting used to drawing the diagram, right? Thumbs up if we are learning something here. I did. That's good, Tatiana. Uh, Wait, did you, Steffi? Was this the one you drew?
Yes, Prof.
That's really good. It really looks like yeah, then you really got it going, right? So, and as I mentioned, please, it doesn't hurt to look at some of the diagrams on AWS Architecture Library. I did share the link during our first session. That's how you get to uh, how that's how you get to join. No one is ever going to, you're never going to have a session on drawing diagrams or explaining that, but it's a knowledge that as you grow, you are expected to have. Like I said, even I'm sure all of you definitely won't want to have a job and stay on the same point. But I remember someone reached out to me it's a role for a senior cloud engineer, and they had given a cloud. They have described a scenario, and he had to draw an architecture diagram. There are some interesting tools that can help you get started. Let me see if I have. You can describe what you want. As we know now, AI is a helper in many things. You can describe the architecture you have in mind. So what it will do is it will give you a diagram. Of course, most of the time will not be exactly um, what you are looking for. And then what you do is um, what you then do is, but it will give you something where to start from, right? Because just drawing an architecture diagram from on the ground will be a bit challenging. I did save it somewhere. Architecture. Mm, okay. I may need to take again to find where it is. Okay, project tools. Let me see if it's here. All right. So share this and you can, I found it. Eraser.io AI AWS diagram generator. So all you have to do is describe the diagram the best you can, and it will give you something here. So um I want an event. I want an event. I want a simple, how do I call this again? Um, uh, Gateway, yes, um, response, and AWS Lambda, as logic, with AWS as okay, it should also be integrated with Connector form login. Let's just say something like this. I'm trying to just have a basic diagram. So you can describe, it can even be longer than that. What type of user authentication flow do you want to implement with Cognito? I say maybe social identity providers. You see, it tries to help as well. Which Lambda evocation pattern? Is it synchronous, asynchronous? Let me just say event triggers, right? How would you like the data flow to be represented? Dynamo streams, direct write operations with Lambda. Time streams always look good. And then, are there any specific user roles or permissions that should be reflected? You just want a brief diagram. It's just to do a demo, but you see, you can interact with it. So let me say generate that. And so then you wait for a while. It will give you something. Like I say, most of the time, it may not be just what you are looking for, but it gives you something that you can then now, if someone was giving you a full, if you had that, and if you have had experience with drawing AWS architecture diagrams, you will know how to rearrange that, and then using most of you I notice are using Draw.io, some of you are using something else, but you know very well that AWS, you know very well that how the normal diagrams that you will see, okay, this is how most of them are, right? You always have, so this is what you can do. You can always go and just sit down, look for a diagram like this and just try to replicate it. You do it a couple of times, you also start understanding, okay, a business analyst can always reach to Antenna. We know Antenna is a serverless service that you can use to query S3. But the interesting thing here is you see it can also be integrated with AWS Lambda, and AWS Lambda can speak to DynamoDB. So you're sending your query on Antenna here and it's talking to Lambda, and then Lambda is also spilling some data here. Surely it's coming from DynamoDB query results. So you can look at diagrams like this, read them. What happens is you then start seeing, you also learn how services are integrating with one another, right? But then you draw this. So if you have a reference diagram, if you have a, if you wanted to use some particular services, if you have a diagram like this, of course, it doesn't look neat and nice, but you have a user here. I was just trying to show that, of course, you can have a user API gateway normally acting as at the front end. So the user is using Cognito. So you can then go and draw, and the once everything you've done, it will evoke a Lambda function, and the Lambda function is talking to DynamoDB straight. So that's one way, read and write, or it can be through streams. Depending on the configuration you wanted, at least you can see the flow. I just picked if you remember, we did a lab already that had API Gateway, Lambda, and DynamoDB. A very simple, straightforward lab in the Solutions Architect lab series. I don't know if anyone remembers that lab where it was to do your first basic. lab that combined those services. I don't know if anyone still remember. It's an AWS workshops, the first crowd service. So read one those. Okay, man, you remember as well. So I'm pointing to that. Right. So again, when you come to AWS workshops, okay, seems that love has been removed. Or am I using? I know it's in our list. I did service, so 45 minutes. It's in the list. I was building your first. Okay, it's no longer here. Um, all right, maybe it's still on the list, but yeah, some of you give thumbs up so you remember what I'm talking about. And it had its own diagram. So you can try, as usual, in the world of AI, anyone should be knowing some of these tools. So I'm putting this on our project group as a tool that you should bookmark. And you can play with it um, by just picking, you can just go and look at an architecture diagram like the one we were trying to bring up here. Let me see. Let's see what we can do. I think it's if I could come here. If I could come here and see um and pick this summary. Let's say I didn't have a diagram. I've picked this summary, I've picked the title. Let's see what it can do for us. Just again as a demo, how you can do all of this. So I say based on the information below, generate a suitable architecture. Diagram. Think step by step as, as someone experience with evidence. When you are when you are prompting, you should always try to tell any AI tool how it should think. That helps in your results as well. Um, I don't know how many of you have looked into prompt engineering on how your prompts should look like, but always try to do that. So let's say I just pick all of that, and let's say what diagram it will do. So which data source is beside that? I just say I use A3, maybe I add ETL, extract transform, add the results of this. Let me just ignore all of that. So let's say you didn't have the diagram, we are trying to have just an idea of how it can look like, and then from there on you can build on it, right? So this is something, is that same query is having user analyst submit SQL queries, return results. So you're speaking to Dynamo to Athena, and Athena here is going, requests that are going to DynamoDB are going through Lambda, and requests that are going to S3 are coming here. So data sources Athena, right? So you can, looking at this, one thing it gives you is the flow, but then you can then go use your own diagram tool that you are using and then draw something including AWS cloud. Like we have seen in most reference architecture, you always have the AWS cloud, and at times VPCs where necessary are specified, or you just have the main one here, AWS cloud, right? So thumbs up if this makes sense or if you find this useful. how to get started. Yeah, right. So we're trying as much as possible. So it's the register, it's and try some look at certain things, try keep improving on your diagram skills. That's important. You may never know when you need it. Okay, good. Thank you. Then so that was it. That just reminded me about diagrams. But so far, I'm sure all of you are doing great now regarding diagrams. Um, Everyone should be familiar on how you're putting your input on the ticket. So I think that's good. So I think for this sprint, let's close it. But we know we have leftover work. You can't, it's not good to carry the leftover work and close a sprint when you have. So we have to send it back to the backlog as work that was not completed. And if it needs to be prioritized, and we complete it again, then that will come later. So these are the remaining tickets which we are surely to be done by Cynthia. So what we have now on sprint 3 looks good. Everything is done. We can go ahead and complete the sprint on time. So that's it. So after completing the sprint, what do we have? Anyone type on chat or say something? What should we do if you are asked that an interview after completing the sprint? What do we do next? I know it's early morning. You can type on chat or you can say something. Thank you, Emmanuel. We have the sprint review. After sprint review, what comes next apart from Emmanuel? Sprint retrospective. Thank you. All right, and I hope everyone knows the difference between sprint review and sprint retrospective. If not, just look again back into our slides. So once the sprint, after the sprint, you have the sprint review. After the sprint review, you have the sprint retrospective. And after sprint retrospective, what do we do? Apart from Emmanuel and Tatiana, who else wants to chip in? What do we do after the sprint retrospective? So here I'm looking at Priscilla, read one, Steffi, Balakin. After sprint retrospective, what do we do? Okay, maybe Tatiana and Emmanuel will help out, or Emmanuel will help out. Since you answered, after the retrospective, who else will know what we should do? It's in our PDF notes. Which is what we should be doing now. Someone should check and tell us, what do we do after retrospective? From the notes as well. Nothing wrong to look at this. We can remind ourselves of that now. Yes, planning next sprint. So sprint planning. Thank you, Priscilla. Yeah, that was, I see you asking form of a question, Tatiana. Right. So if you've done the review, you've done the retrospective, you come back to sprint planning, right? And yeah, sprint planning. So sprint planning involves a lot of things. So let me bring that up. So with sprint planning, this way the product owner who is in charge of the backlog, please take notes of who is in charge of what. If you are asked, if you say you have been doing projects for 4 or 5 months with WirfonCloud and you use the Scrum methodology, these are things that someone asks you, or if they should be very basic. And if someone asks you, it should just come out immediately, right? If you don't know at all, if you are wondering, you really don't help yourself in such an interview. It becomes a question of, do you really know what you're talking about? So, this is what we have. Once we have been bringing this diagram, I was already thinking this now. If you are not, if go to remember this, print this and keep somewhere. Just put this on your table, how Scrum works. So once we finish the sprint, we have daily sprint. Once you finish it and release any uh, potential releasable increment or whatever thing you have done, it could be a final release. If it was WhatsApp, maybe video is finally functioning, or you have moved into a position of you keep improving. Maybe you have configured a few things and made some tests, and you've not yet had the video functionality working, but you are gradually getting there, right? After that, the sprint review, the sprint retrospective, then you come back to sprint planning. Here, the product owner has ensured that on the product backlog, which is the backlog as we always call it, have the right task with maybe the right priority. And then you all as a development team, you forecast work needed to achieve the sprint goal. So you are doing sprint planning, forecast sprint planning, here, you plan the work, e.g. the task. So you decide which tasks are going to go next. You assign in Jira, you assign the complexity of each ticket, and in Jira you are using story points. So you also have to remember that story points in Jira is just defining the complexity of the task any individual task in your list carries, right? In order, so it's better to always think of story points as an example of how you define complexity of a particular task. It may be different in other ticketing system, but the the understanding should always, I mean, it's always clear. If you know what, they may use different assignments, but that should be clear for you. So with sprint planning now, then you move the tickets to the sprint backlog, which is what we have to do now. We have to move to sprint 4. We can start by defining what this sprint is all about. So our start date is today. Our end date will be next 15. What I have, you define the sprint goal, complete stage. We are completing the stage 5 and 6. So stage 4 and 5 is to complete the project. Stage 6 is doing the cleaning. So you want to ensure that you don't have anything left in your account. So if once you have completed, I can say once you complete stage 4 and 5, you may just leave that till next week. But then you have stage 6, which is done immediately after cleaning. So if you finish stage 4 and 5, just leave it there. Let's say till next weekend, Saturday, Sunday. Or if you have any challenges, just let me know. But stage 6 is then to be completed, say Sunday, for example, just to ensure that you do cleaning, you clean all the work that you have done, right? So this is just the sprint details that we have. And now we need to assign task to it. So as I've mentioned, it's the remaining everything we have. So starting from stage 4, So stage 4, I'm using 001, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are the instructions: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 6. Then stage clean. I clean stage here. 6. Right. So I have to move now all of this. Um, yeah. Story points. Okay, you can assign that. We already agreed. You now know how to do that. Depending on we agreed some values, you can use that already. So everyone would know. Just be careful as you are assigning. Really take time and look. Make sure that if you are picking 001, then you pick only the 001 for all the stages. If you are speaking 004, you pick only 004 for all the stages, right? So just be so that we avoid any confusion, right? So I'll start the sprint. Any question on that? On the planning and the tasks that have to be done? Any question or thumbs up if you are all good? Thank you, Tatiana. Emmanuel. Hopefully, thank you, Stephanie. Hopefully, Ken, Brother Ken, and lead one. Okay. So the other thing was, I think I had the community session for AWS community builders. Um, all of you were there, I think, except Brother Ken. Tatiana, you missed just a bit, but the recording is up. So please look into that. As I explained, it's a very great community to be in. It will fire up your cloud journey. So everything regarding that forum, we know where it is and maybe what I've covered so far. If you have questions, reach out to me. I really want to say, yeah, Tatiana and Steffi, keep up with the work. If some of you are wondering how to do articles, I will say, look at what they are creating, the content they are creating. That is going to help. I'm sure Emmanuel as well. Emmanuel, you are creating content, right? Give me a thumbs up. I think I've seen one or two, but it's just that I tend to see. Right, I tend to see a lot, especially from Tatiana and then Steffi. So, Brother Ken, read one if you are doing so. Great. If not, please, I would say learn from what all of them are doing. Create some content. And then the other thing is, like I mentioned, we have to follow each other, be it on on Medium, follow what each other person is doing, give some likes, and where possible, give some qualitative comments. That helps during the review of your application. If they see people have commented, right? So yeah, keep up for those who are doing and look into it. Then also great job. I noticed again, Tatiana and Steffi have finished the Docker course. And I was speaking to Tatiana, and she also said she was looking at some material from Nana. I know she's also well known in the Docker space, Docker and Kubernetes, which is good because the key thing is to get those concepts, and if you can always mix authors and then understand what is happening, or if you have other authors, that's also great. But one thing with Code Cloud that I've always loved is the lab environments that they have, right? So Titus, as I mentioned, Titus was supposed to be present, but also I joined with Read One, was not there this week. I'll follow up and see um, what's happening, because if you practice, I think what you all can do also is to install Docker, because there is you can install it on your computer if you have the if it has the specifications to do so. Install it and try to practice with doing just basic creating images and running some basic containers, just to get very used to the commands. It helps. And now the course, the Kubernetes course, I think Tatiana did point to my attention that it's being paid for. I was looking, normally it used to be free. When I did try, because I was signing with my account, which is already the paid version. So when I tried to use a different, like someone joining new, I realized that it has to be paid. So I've been thinking what I can do in that direction, because it has a very good course on Kubernetes. It used to be, Emmanuel, go ahead. You have something?
So I just went to YouTube and searched Code Cloud. They have the course on YouTube together with the
Okay.
link to the free labs.
Okay, the Kubernetes course.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that will be a great rescue. Please can you share the link to the YouTube course on the project group? Yeah. So share that on the project group and the links to the lab, what you are finding, that will be really useful. I'll encourage everyone again to work on completing on that. We are starting with Terraform. We are starting with Terraform. I was speaking with Yvonne. We are planning to start by 22nd, 23rd is that week. So we have to pick out which days we are going to use for Terraform, and it's going to be in the evening because that's the time she can be available. When I say evening, it's likely 8 p.m. I was worried about that. Steffi, I hope evening will still be able to work out for you, right? Because I know it's afternoon. And for everyone here, I hope evening also works. So um, you already have, if you've not yet bought the course, I encourage you to buy it. He doesn't change. This is very great. He doesn't change yeah, Steffi, go ahead, please.
So I have a question about the like when we're starting Terraform, like the date.
The date, I was saying,
It's really far.
yeah, because I want us to complete all these other things, right? We have you have Kubernetes, you have finished Docker. How far are you with Kubernetes?
Kubernetes since the code was the code cloud was a paid version. I'm doing Kubernetes with Nana as well.
Okay,
So I'm almost done with that.
you're almost
I was
done.
hoping with the Kubernetes, like Nana has a 0 to hero session on YouTube. It's like
Mm-hmm,
4 hours for Kubernetes. She also has a crash course, but
mm-hmm,
1 hour. The crash course is not very well, there's not a lot. It's just the basics.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then she has the 4 hours course. That has more.
Right.
Mhm. But the
So
Terraform timing is like it sounds like it's next year.
I
It's so
know.
far.
One thing about completing the courses is I wanted that we should have the labs. I don't know how far you have practiced them as well, right? You've done the Docker course, but how much of it have you practiced? Like, because I wanted that we use, this is Wednesday and Friday, to practice, apart from just completing the course, but just touching on that Wednesday and Friday. If we can do that, um, my plan was that we would do that at least within these 2 weeks, which would then lead to the 20 week of the 22nd. But if I'm saying that, okay, this week we do that and start, because one thing also is not just finishing the courses, but if there are some practice to be done, and then maybe from there do, apart from practicing, maybe there was there's one AWS workshop. Tatiana, I saw you say Wednesday, Friday. Maybe you explain that a bit. Wednesday 10th and Friday 12th. Is that for the labs? So there is one, right, there's one, let me show this. There's one, I did save the link to that lab. There's one lab session. Yeah, on Docker. That I wanted that if you do it and then go and do that, yeah, entirely. Because after this, you say you have had fundamentals of Docker, right? This ECS immersion day. It makes much sense if you've built some foundational knowledge right, on Docker. So that's what I would like to say. Maybe you then spend time to do that on. So if you do the Docker configuration, if you practice the labs today, then I have two, actually there are two of these. You can then come and complete a whole ECS mission day like this that would touch most of those skills that you've done. Just to give you some confidence that you've not just done, I think there's a different one that there's something like this cloud formation. I have two somewhere. Do you understand what I'm pointing to, Steffi?
Yes, sir.
Right. And yeah, so I don't just want that we just rush and finish this thing, but maybe just use it and have a feel of how you use it, because you are going to put it on your CV that you have concepts of Docker and this thing, but then if you have done something around it, it will help. So that's why I've been orientating that for that week, the 22nd. And so when you get it, I already posted the course. I hope everyone, the course for Udemy, I posted that already. I think everyone, if you don't find it, please check out. It's on the project group. I'm looking at that. You can just advising everyone to have that. But apart from Steffi, is there anyone also who feels like we should start Terraform maybe next week? I just want to hear. Tatiana, you say we should start next week? What about read one, Brother Ken? Brother, read one, how was your thought, Brother Ken? How far have you come? You're indifferent. I always like people to be warm or cool, not just look warm or look cool. What is your
Um,
preference, one?
For me, so the previous timing is just okay because I'm still struggling. I'm still 33% gone with the Docker. So
Sorry, Brother Ken.
I'm saying I'm still 33% gone with the Docker. So the previous timing is just okay.
Yeah. But again, you have to catch up, right? Because that course is 4 hours. If you take a weekend, you will have finished it, right?
Yeah, I'm pushing gradually, sir.
So you have to catch up on that. Um, okay. Tatiana is saying that thinking of starting and then yeah, so you know what? Make it just that because I was talking with Yvonne and we were orientating towards that week. So I will really encourage that let's do the labs this week for Docker and Kubernetes. Then spend the next week to do this lab session, right? To do the lab session, I know I did find two of these. To do a lab session that just focus on ECS, by that time it will much more clearer some of the things. I'll look which I did find two of these workstations, and I was trying to look at which one you people will do. So when you do it, then it's for Steffi and Tatiana. I don't know, do you have the Udemy course already that I did share? Steffi has the record, the video. So you put yourself in a better position, because if you start the course, it means that when they start, it will definitely be much more also straightforward for you, right? Some of the beginning, setting it up. Um, yeah, that will be better. Target is that latest end of October. Hopefully that's done. You write the certifications. And if you do all that, you will have had most of the skill set. I'll also this week be reaching out to each one of you so that we do the one-on-one session, and I have your your details in terms of your skill set, what skills you need or where your strengths are, and then try to make suggestion. And also the other thing is assign who you could be working with. Yeah, so for you, like Steffi, there is Shufai in the US. I think that would be the best person that you can work with going forward in terms of like focus person, right? So I'll be reaching out to each one within the week to know when you are available. We have like 1 hour, 2 hours time slot just to discuss what your goals are, because everyone is definitely going to be individual at this point. But with the skills that we have had and the things that you'll be building, it will just be a matter of, if you see a job, don't be shy to apply. That touches most of the things we have covered. But like I've mentioned so many times, what makes you stand out is labs, 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 labs. We have AWS workshops. If you say every week you come and look at the lab here and spend 3 hours and do on a topic that you like, it's only going to be adding to your confidence. Only going to add into your confidence. You should be able to, if they say we will need to do a VPC, everyone here should be able to like do any lab that has to do with VPC and subnet um, like a brush, You shouldn't be looking for help or expecting someone to save you, right? So I really still emphasize on doing labs to be building, getting confidence in your skills. And also, if you go to interviews, you don't answer questions doubting. You have done it, you know how it works, you can explain. That's very, very helpful, right? So I still emphasize that. Because in terms of cloud engineer, if you have the key skills is infrastructure as code, you have fundamentals of Docker, Kubernetes. If you all follow complete what we have talked about, um, if you have cloud formation and Terraform, as we've said, yeah, you're good. And then of course AWS services, because all of this has to do the core services from storage, compute, networking. You feel good. But maybe if you get a job and then as we are going after a year or two, one important certification that for those of you who are pushing yourself, especially I would say you should just be planning to do um, the security specialty certification. It's one that if you look at everything in AWS, it centers around IAM rule, encryption, security, always a very important topic. It's not a certification for now, but have it like down the road in the next 6 months, 1 year. I want to do that. You can then just even be looking at it. It will help you a lot. It will give you a lot of confidence with anything IAM, because IAM is everywhere. Yeah, and security is very important. So, but we'll discuss most of those things on one-on-one. But this is a general thing for everyone. All right. So, what else did I want to touch on? Any questions? I've talked about the one-on-one. I've talked about the community builder. I've shown why I know there's another lab as well. I'll look at that and compare which one you should really complete. And then before you get on, okay, I was looking for the Udemy course. I shared the link. Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, that is the link to the course. If you don't have it, I'll reshare it again. This man, he doesn't change his price, so I can guarantee you that it will always be 29. He has put a price that he never changes. It will always be 29 euros. 22 hours. But if you can do this, it's really hands-on. When you complete it, you will be able to do the certification, and which is what I'm trying to encourage all of you to do. So I appreciate that. For those who don't have it, please buy the course, and if you start early, that's fine. All right. What else am I leaving out? I think I'm looking at my list, everything I've mentioned. Or any question? Okay. All right. So if there's something that comes up, I will share that or I'll discuss that on chat. The one thing I also wanted to encourage was, let's really try to come for the lab sessions. I know you all are all busy, but group work always make things really easy for everyone and helps all of you. So try as much as possible to participate. Try as much as possible to share an update on status of where you are. It inspires others. Um, yeah, let's bring that teamwork often. So that's the other last comment I wanted to bring in. And if any other thing that you need to speak to me directly, you know you can always reach out. Okay. Good. Then that was it. Let me leave it out here if there are no more questions, and then you have 15 minutes back and we catch up. I'm sure on the session on Wednesday or on Friday, but really want to see how you always are doing with it. Okay. Have a nice day ahead and good night to you, Steffi. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. Bye. Thank you, everyone.